Hi guys, in today's video I'm going to be doing something a little different. This is going to be my video all about finances, saving, and everything like that for the Shopaholic. So if you'd like to see that, please keep watching. Okay. So first I want to say, I want to do a little disclaimer. I'm not a financial planner. I'm not an accountant. I'm not anything like that. But I did about a year ago post a video of my Victoria's Secret credit card review and like how I use the card and things like that, and a couple people were asking me questions such as why I use my credit card more like a debit card and things like that. So I kind of just wanted to make a video about ways that I budget and save and everything like that. So I did take down some notes so that I wouldn't be all over the place. Oh wait, they're on my computer. And I also want to say that my situation isn't necessarily going to be the norm. I do still live at home, so I don't have the amount of bills as maybe some of you, or maybe some of you have less bills than I have, but I'm just going to share with you things that I do and things that I have done to like raise my credit score, help myself to stay organized through budgeting, and how I kind of make the most of my money while being a shopaholic, because having what I think of as an addiction to shopping can kind of make saving and budgeting a little harder, especially when you feel drawn to impulse buy. So this is kind of what this video is going to be geared toward, but honestly you probably could pick up some tips of your own if you're not a shopaholic. The number one thing is going to be planning and staying organized. I'm a very methodical person. I plan every aspect of my life. So as far as budgeting goes, my number one tip is to plan for things. Now, of course, there are some instances where you can't plan, like car trouble or emergency situations. That, of course, is where savings come into play. So my number two tip is going to be saving 20% of every paycheck. And I do that automatically. As soon as I get paid, I put 20% of my income into savings so that I can save for a rainy day. And my savings are used as emergency funds. I do not, well, not emergency funds, but they can be used for emergency funds, and they're just for purely savings. I do not take money out of savings because I like to see that money grow, and I think it's important to have money put away for a rainy day. I think I read a study somewhere saying that a large percentage of Americans don't even have $1,000 in the bank. The goal is for you to have 6 months to 8 months worth of savings in the bank, especially in the economy that we're in now. It might take you 8 months to a year to find a job, so that's why a lot of financial advisors would recommend having 6 to 8 months worth of savings in the bank. Of course, that might not always be the case, but once you've been working for at least a year or so, you should probably have at least 6 months worth of savings in the bank. And that's to cover like all your expenses and things like that, should you happen to be unemployed. As far as organization, my third tip will be to make a budget. Now, budgeting is good for everybody, from if you're going off of an allowance or if you make a ton of money. You may not always stick really precisely to a budget, but I think it's always important to have a budget just to kind of know where your money's going, how much you can spend a week, and how much you generally have. So every week for myself, or whenever I get paid, I transfer 20% into savings, and then I make a budget for myself. This includes everything from bills to expenses to shopping. Yes, I have a shopping category built into my budget, because especially the area I work in, there's a lot of opportunity for me to shop. So I have to kind of build in a shopping category just so that I'm not overspending. Now, I kind of have a shopping category because I don't spend a lot of money on entertainment and going out. I don't have that much of an active social life, so I'm able to spend a little more on shopping and things like that. Now, I want to talk a little about more of how I use my budget. So like I said, I plan out categories, whether it be gas, groceries, bills, anything like that. And I always like to leave myself a little cushion, whether it be at the end of the week or at the end of the month. And if that money is not spent, I decide whether I want to put it into savings, which is always smart, or go shopping. And it just depends on what I need or want for that month or what's coming up. Like now I'm going on a trip in 2 months, so any money I have left over at the end of the week or month I put directly into savings, just to give myself a little extra cushion for my vacation. So that's definitely one tip I have. It might seem like I buy a lot all the time, but I work shopping into my budget. I'm not saying that that is the best thing to do, but I look at it like, as long as my bills are paid and I'm saving, why not spend a little extra money on yourself? Now I want to talk a little bit about credit cards and your credit score. In that video, which I will link below, I talked about how I use my Victoria's Secret credit card, and any credit card really, kind of like a debit card. I use them mostly for the rewards or just to increase my credit score, and I will go into that a little later. So when I buy things on my credit card, I'm not just going to go to the mall one day and impulsively buy $1,000 bag or something. If I don't have enough money to pay for it, then I don't really buy it, unless maybe I get paid next week and I'll have enough money. But I like to pay off my credit cards whenever I can. So let's say I go shopping and spend $65 and I put it on my credit card. I'm probably going to go home that night and pay it all off. So I like to keep from paying interest on my credit cards by paying them off immediately. And I'm not exactly sure how they calculate it, but I've never really paid interest on any of my credit cards, though I do sometimes carry a balance. I think if you make certain payments above your minimum payment before your payment period ends or something, you're not charged interest. I'm not exactly 100% sure on that, but I know that with my credit cards, I'm never charged interest because I pay it off so frequently, and I pay it off, of course, outright. So one thing I want to say is probably to my younger viewers is to not use credit cards like free money. It's basically like a loan. You are using the bank's money, and you're going to have to pay it back at a higher percentage if you do not pay it off. One mistake I made, and since this is a financial video, I'm going to be real with you guys. When I was in college, I got 2 credit cards. Everyone told me not to, but being 18 and being the person that I was, I wanted to do something for myself that I was able to do on my own. So I got 2 credit cards, and I was just charging them up. I was going on shopping sprees. I was buying whatever I wanted, and I didn't have a job, so I couldn't pay it off. So I got into credit card debt. I was eventually able to pay them off completely, like in a lump sum, but it did really affect my credit score negatively. So my number 1 tip as far as credit cards go is to not really buy impulsively on your credit card unless you know that you're going to be able to pay it off, if not that month, in the next month. I try to never have a total usage of credit above like 10%, and that is because when credit cards are looking at your credit report, or when anybody's looking at your credit report, part of your credit score is calculated by looking at your percentage of use of credit, your credit utilization, I think is what it's called. And you always want to have, like, I think 20% and below of credit card utilization, which means if your total limit for credit cards is $1,000, you don't want to have a balance above $200. What that says to credit card lenders or anybody is that you're responsible with your money. If your credit card limit is $1,000 and you're maxing it out every month, that kind of tells them that you're not that responsible because you're using all of what you have and not just a little bit. And I don't know if I've explained that how I want to, but basically I don't max out my credit cards ever. I just really put small purchases on them. But one tip to do that is you want to get your credit card limit as high as possible. And while also being responsible, I say that meaning I want my, let's say you only plan to use about $200 per month on X credit card. You want your limit to be like $1,500 and above, because once again, that's going to show that you are using your credit card wisely and that you're not maxing it out all the time. So even though you may not have $1,500 extra to spend on your credit card each month, it's important for your limit to be as high as possible. And that's something that I found. As I've had my credit cards for longer times, as my credit card limit has increased and I don't use all of that limit, my credit score has increased. So definitely, as far as your credit score goes, you're going to want to have a low percentage of usage. You're also going to want to make sure you pay off your credit card at least a minimum balance every month. My rule of thumb is to pay on it whenever I can. So if for 1 week I have $50 extra, I'm going to pay off my credit card, things like that. Because I never want to carry a high balance. I always want to have a lot of money towards my credit limit for if I needed it one day. So that's just kind of how I keep my credit score from getting too low. You also want to make sure you're having no more than 2 inquiries a year. Having more than 2 inquiries can decrease your credit score by a couple of points also. And a good site for you to keep track of your credit score is creditkarma.com. I will also link that below in the description bar. I'm not being sponsored or paid, but this is a website that I use monthly to kind of monitor my credit score. So the biggest tips as far as your credit score goes, you're going to want to make sure you're using your credit cards responsibly, not maxing them out, paying off at least your minimum payment every month. I say if you can pay it in full, do so. And yeah, that's pretty much it as far as credit cards go. Let's see what else. In terms of using money, like, because I told you guys I have a shopping category in my budget. Another way I make money for that is by selling things on eBay, and I think I've talked a little bit about this in the past. My rule of thumb is if I haven't used an item in 6 months, I probably don't want it, so I will sell it. And that's a great way of kind of turning over your money and using it to get new things without having to actually pay out of pocket. So using websites like eBay or Poshmark, though I have not used Poshmark, is always good if you need a little bit of extra money or you want to buy something new and you have something old that you haven't used, sell it on eBay. That's a great way to be able to fund your shopping expenses. And all in all, the biggest tip to kind of sum this whole video up is just going to be planning. Of course, like I said in the beginning, you cannot always plan for everything, but the more you plan, the more strategic you get and the more you can kind of anticipate things. Like, you know, maybe a couple times a year you're going to have to pay to get your car serviced, and that could be kind of expensive, so you want to put towards savings for that. I think that's pretty much it of what I wanted to cover in this video. But yeah, it's all about just planning and finding what works for you. My way of saving and budgeting might not work for you, but according to my circumstances, this is what I found that works for me. And the tips I gave you about your credit score and everything, that has really worked for me in terms of raising my credit score immensely, probably since 8 or so years ago when I first got my credit card. So yeah, if you guys have any other questions, please leave them down below. Oh, and also in terms of making money or putting it away for savings, you can use Ebates, which I will put my referral link down below. I've probably gotten about $1,000 back from Ebates, basically just for shopping. I mean, you literally don't do anything but what you would usually do. Maybe you have to do 2 extra clicks, but you can actually get real money back from your online purchases. And with your first order of $25 or more, you get a $10 gift card to the store of your choice from a list of stores, of course. So that's always something good. Whenever I get a check from Ebates, I either use it to pay down any debt or go shopping. So that's kind of how I make my money stretch a little further. And I also saw a tip on Instagram or Twitter the other day saying how a woman or a man, every $5 they came into contact with, they saved it. And over the course of the year, they saved like $3,000, I think. Or was it $1,500? Something like that. So I think I'm going to do that this year, even though I never have cash. If I could save together $500 or so from just putting away $5 bills, that's like a shopping spree. So little things like that. you can use to kind of trick yourself into saving more by little ways. I know I said I was closing out the video. Another tip I have is that I don't go on just mindless store trips. I know one of my favorite stores is Target. I don't go there if I'm bored. If I go to Target when I'm bored, I'm going to spend $80 to $100. So being that I'm so methodical in terms of planning, I try to eliminate Starbucks trips, coffee, any type of coffee runs, store runs, corner store runs, anything like that. If I can help it, I try to eliminate them, because you'll see how quickly your money goes to frivolous things like that, wherein you could be saving that, I don't know, for something else. So those are all the tips and tricks I have for you today. We are finally done with the video. If you have any questions, please leave them down below and I will get back to you. So yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.
I know my rent was gonna be late about a week ago. I worked my ass off, but I got just enough. Ooh, I want the time of my life. Ooh, give me the time of my life. Why am I so close to the camera?
La, la. Oh my God.